Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Our Turf Football Podcast. You have just Kate and I today. Sonia and Lisa are unavailable, so it's just the two of us this week. And so we decided that was okay because Lisa, I'm sorry, I keep messing with my camera because I don't know what's wrong with it. It keeps moving. Sorry. Anyway, Sonia is working with the Chillins, as she always does, in her wonderful job working at a children's hospital. And then Lisa doesn't do fantasy football. Like, she's like, out. I'm not there at all. So it's Kate and I. And we are excited to chit chat with you guys tonight about fantasy football because it is the season. But before we get into that, we have to thank, of course, our sponsor, Donkeys. Donkeys Place Cheesesteaks have been sponsoring us for 5 years. Like we say every week, we just love and adore them. They're a great family-owned business with three locations in New Jersey. They have Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. But you can go to goldbelly.com and order directly to your house no matter where you're at. It gets there in like 1 to 2 days. It's amazing. And we do it the day before Thanksgiving, usually every year, just because we know we're going to have to cook on Thanksgiving. So we order from them. And it's delicious and huge. You get so much food, even just like it's amazing. So we encourage you.
I tried to explain it to people because we did it too. So where I'm at in Cleveland, they deliver on Tuesdays or Fridays. So I picked which day I wanted my delivery, and then my delivery came, and everything is packaged separately, and you just warm it all up. So there's onions and cheese and steak and bread and sauce, and it's just all the things. And there's enough. There's so much.
We have for our family of 4, and my children are all adults. They're not children, and it fed us for a couple of days. Like there's just so much food. It's fantastic, and they have delicious. That onion sauce, that onion, whatever that is,
onion jam. I don't know what that is either,
it's
but
delicious. I'm just telling y'all, check it out. Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks on goldbelly.com, or if you happen to be in New Jersey, check them out. So, all right, so let's get talking. So. Fantasy football, I feel like it was so funny, Kate. You know how on Facebook, I don't get on Facebook hardly ever, but when I do, it pops up the memories of whatever else you've posted that day. And about a week ago, in 2011, I had posted me. Keep in mind me. I really want to learn how to play fantasy football. Can anyone explain it to me? And I reposted that and I put, oh, how times have changed. Since 2011, things got very different. So I love playing fantasy football, but honestly, it was you ladies was the first people that I had ever played fantasy football with. It was super fun. How many leagues are you in this year, Kate?
So this year I am only doing the Our Turf League. I want to win the league. I want to focus on it. I find that as I'm getting older, it is stressful for me to root for Trevor Lawrence in one league, but to root for the defense to get a pick 6 in another league. I've done 5 and 6 in a year. Oh. And while that appeases my oh, look, a squirrel, my ODC and my OCD and all my things, I think this year I'm just going to try one league. I'm going to focus on it. I'm the girl who shows up at the draft with a spreadsheet. Right?
Yeah.
I've been doing fantasy football since before there were apps where you needed spreadsheets and you needed to wait for the paper on Monday to manually look for you used to be able to get children, story time with Grandma Kate. You used to be able to get a newspaper on Monday and you would go to the sports section and it would have all the statistics for all of the teams. And then if you needed to on Tuesday, you'd get the Monday Night Football stats, depending on where things were. And then Thursday is when they would post any corrections, if there were official corrections. We don't do any of that now. The apps do it all. Mm-hmm. They do all the magic. So we used to do it by hand. And I used to love being in multiple leagues because I had a dog in every fight. I could watch whatever game they threw on my TV and odds were good. I had somebody playing somewhere that I was rooting for. And I find it too stressful because now they're all going head to head. And I have never won the Our Turf League. So this year, I'm glad Lisa and Sonia aren't here. This year, I am dedicating my research to this league. I'm going to share some of what I've discovered with all of y'all tonight as we talk about some of the different categories of players to draft in your fantasy league, maybe a little bit of strategy. as the night goes on. But I am really focused on our league this year. I'm winning it.
Well,
I'm gonna try.
Kristen wants to learn fantasy because she wants to take home the Donkey's Cup. Girl, we got you. Right? We got you. And she said,
I think we have 2 spots left to reach out to Sonia.
We do.
We'll get you in.
We do.
So there are 2 leagues. I'm in one, obviously one, not in the other one. I can even make sure Sonia puts you in the other one. So if you want a little general manager advice or mentoring, anyone that's in the leagues, or if you're in other leagues that are not our leagues, you can DM me, you can DM Dana, you can DM Sonia. You can try to DM Lisa, but odds are she's not going to know because unless it's a quarterback, she shouldn't care. I do stardom, sit-em advice for my daughters. I have 2 daughters that play fantasy football, and one of them won her league last year, and I got no credit. And I'm like, I have the text where you're asking me who to play every week or who to pick up on waivers, and I don't get any share of that trophy. But we are more than happy to kind of help you and teach you and mentor you through
if you're new. Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun.
So there are 2 spots left. We have 2 leagues this year for because there was quite a demand for them. So we have 2 leagues this year, and we cap them at 10. And so because we want you to have a chance. So for those who are new to fantasy football, you can have up to 16 teams in a league, and then you get nothing. They're scraps, right? And so we try and cap it at 10. It's more fun that way. They are free leagues where you do get to actually win prizes, including a fantastic trophy that I order every year. And so there'll be one for each league this year because this is the first year we've done 2 leagues. So 2 spots left. So if anyone is listening and wants to join, just DM us on any of our social media and we will absolutely add you to that. The deadline is Friday, so that we can get everything set up on Saturday. The draft will be on the 30th. All right. So let's get talking about this just a little bit. There are a few categories that fantasy football players fall into.
Really?
No. Okay. So here's the thing. Lisa, every year. Oh, you know what? Just put that comment down because honestly, we got to talk about quarterbacks because they ain't happening anytime soon. But anyway, don't do it, Kristen. Ignore her. She's never won. Just know she's never won. So anyway, there are must-have players. There are sleeper players. And then you always want to look at the rookies because a lot of times people will overlook rookies during their draft because they don't know them. This is definitely not the year to do that for sure. But there are also different tiers, your tier 1s, your tier 2s, your tier 3s. And you're going to see that a lot when you have, when you go on the websites like ESPN's and stuff like that. He's a tier 2 running back, that sort of thing. That means it's where you go ahead and draft them. But let's start with these must-haves. There are a few names that everybody knows, right? So Jamar Chase. Everyone knows Jamar Chase he's going number 1 in a ton of leagues. Then you have Justin Jefferson. He's got a hammy this year, but we think he should be fine. I think they're just kind of babysitting him right now. And then you have your running backs. Now there is a whole fantasy football world of arguing between, do you take a wide receiver first? Do you take a running back first? You never take a quarterback first, Lisa, but I don't care if Drew Brees won her championship because that's what she said. Drew Brees. That's how long it's been, in case you guys need to know. But anyway, so you want to look at some of these. So then you have Bijan Robinson. Fantastic, especially when you look at the quarterback situation. You have Saquon. Can he do it again this year? That's always a good question. And then, of course, there's CeeDee Lamb. He's usually in the top 5 of a lot of places, too. However, there's been a name, Kate, that has popped up quite a bit as I ain't going to be mad at you if you take him in the first or second round. And that's George Pickens of all players. There was a great conversation I read on Twitter that it was back and forth. Why would you pick George Pickens? They're going to go to CeeDee Lamb. But if you look at all the double teams that CeeDee Lamb takes, all the attention that he takes, will that leave Pickens open? Is that going to make him a top target? So Kate, for you, are you pro running back first? Are you top player, pick best player left? Are you wide receiver first? Where do you sit with this?
So there are so many variables. In general, right? I like a wide receiver. I just do. But the first and foremost, most important thing that you need to do before you draft is you need to understand your scoring rules. Do you get a point per reception? That is a huge difference. If you're in a PPR league where every time they catch a ball, they get a point, you want a wide receiver before you want a running back. And when you take a running back, you want to look and see how your running back does with receiving. PPR is a big deal. If it's just standard scoring and they're just getting yardage, again, you have to go look at your league. The default setting for the leagues makes the running backs more attractive. They get more points per yards. They get more bonuses. But a lot of times the league manager will go in and tweak those settings and will give the wide receivers more points. What I love to do is double up. Whether it's a running back and a quarterback or a wide receiver and a quarterback, I try to get one of those in the first round and get the same teammate guy if you can get Jamar Chase in the first round and Joe Burrow in the second, you can just sit back and coast through the rest of your draft. If you can get Bijan Robinson, you want to go figure out, and I don't even know who's quarterbacking down there these days because I can't keep track of what's going on in Atlanta these days. But you want to try to double up, but you really need to look at what your league scoring is, because I've been I do a lot of, I prefer a PPR. I want to be able to get as many points as I can. So I go wide receiver first, but I could take a wide receiver, and Dana, you could take a running back because your league isn't PPR, and that's the smartest move for you. So that's usually where I go. But I also love the backup plan. I love George Pickens because you're right. CeeDee Lamb's is going to get a lot of attention. He's trying to get yards. He's trying to get more money. He's trying to do all the things. Dak's going to really have to rely on that passing game this year. And if CD is taking two defenders with him, that's going to leave Pickens open all day. Those are the kind of things you want to look at in your round 3, round 4, round 5 guys. Yeah. Is even if you lose CD, you're going to want to go target Pickens later.
I don't know. Can I just throw a little news in there? Because basically Brian Johnson wants out of Washington. So Dallas could just swoop in and get him. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. So in our comments, Darcy says, I think running back or wide receiver first depends on where you're drafting. And that is a very good point. The running backs after the elite ones, there's quite a bit of a drop off, at least for me. And that is true. That is something that you absolutely have to look at, because if you're doing what they call a snake draft, where the first person you go through and then you turn around and you go back the other direction, if you're toward the end, you're going to miss out on some of those really high end Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley's, that sort of thing. So you have to look who's best. And that, in my opinion, is when you start taking the best player left available for sure. Then let's see. Oh, hi, Big Red. Big Red is here too. And then Steven says, running back first, wide receiver next. And I will tell you, I lean that way a lot of the time. But it is true about scoring. And so I think you have to really look at your league, because some managers, oh my God, do you remember the one year, Lisa, since she's in the comments, gave the quarterbacks like double points for every, it was the most ridiculous year anyway.
Yeah,
but it was
and for touchdowns. And again, that's something to look at before you draft a quarterback. Is he getting 4 yards for a touchdown, or 4 points, or is he getting 6? In some leagues, the default is just 4.
Yep.
So it's not I'd rather have a running back or a wide receiver and get the full 6 on a touchdown if my quarterback's only going to get 4. So you got to look and see how your league is scoring.
So I did my first draft the other night. It was with the Children's Hospital Emergency Room that I used to work at. And they finally let me in after years of blocking me, not letting me play, because they thought I would just run the gamut, which I kind of did. But it's a really fun league. But that's the only league I pay to play in. And you get a nice little bonus at the end. And I know a lot of people, and then there's a whole thing about dynasty fantasy football. That's a whole different thing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about year to year. So I did that, and I was smack in the middle of the camp there. So right in the middle. And I ended up with CeeDee Lamb, because someone always jumps for a quarterback. That's a conversation we're going to have here in just a second. So are there any other must-haves that you think, Kate, that people should really pay attention to?
I think from a tight end perspective, maybe not a must-have, but I think be smart when you go for the tight end position. A lot of people are going to take Travis Kelce because he's a name they know, but I would grab Trey McBride from the Cardinals. I would grab George Kittle out of San Francisco, Brock Bowers out of the Raiders, even TJ Hawkinson in Minnesota. You
got that rookie QB? Yeah.
I would be careful. Tight end is one of those positions where there's probably 4 or 5. I would say 5. And then there's this drop to everybody else. Not first round, but second round, third round. You're going to want to get one of those 5. If you don't, sit back and wait and get them later. There'll be value to be had. But I think if you can get, like I said, Bowers or McBride or Kittle early. And
first 3 rounds for
sure. The love of all the football gods, do not take a kicker or a defense before like the middle of the draft.
12, 15, somewhere in there.
They're all the same. There's 1 or 2, and then they're all going to get you about the same amount of points. And somebody will pick one, and then there will be a run on them. And that's where you need to worry about your sleepers or look at some of these rookies that nobody's really sure about, and grab those while they're going crazy for defenses.
For sure. So Darcy said, also in some leagues, check and see if the quarterback is part of the flex position. I have never played in a league that lets a quarterback be a flex position. Some leagues are like that. I've been in a few like that before. Same with roster setup in general. Absolutely true. You got to look at all those. And then you add the defense or individual IDP, individual defensive player, for those of you guys who need to know about that. All right. So let's move on to some of these rookies, because I think sometimes people are a little afraid to draft a rookie because you don't have a history there. You don't know what's going to happen with them. This is the year to really dig into this, to the rookie class. I will tell you, on my bench, I just decided to, in this fantasy draft that I just did the other night, I decided to say, screw it. And I took 4 rookies. Now they're good rookies, but I wanted to be like, you know what? I just want to, what you got for me, kid? I just thought it would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. This class to me is heavy on running back talent.
Yep.
And that's, I don't want to say it's the easiest position on the field, but at the same time, as a rookie, it's the easiest position to play and have an impact. You don't have to worry about running routes and doing all that stuff. They hand you the ball and you run with the ball, right? So there are the obvious ones. Ashton Jeanty, Omarion Hampton. So Ashton Jeanty is with the Raiders, Omarion Hampton with the Chargers. I love Caleb Johnson with the Steelers, RJ Harvey in Denver.
Oh, RJ Harvey. Yes.
Yeah. Travion Henderson, one of my Buckeye brothers, is going to make huge numbers in New England with the Patriots. Emeka Egbuka is a wide receiver I would take a look at with the Buccaneers. Baker got to throw to somebody. And Travis Hunter. I think he's worth drafting. Last time I checked the depth chart, Jacksonville had him as a corner 1 and a wide receiver 2. I think he's going to do better at the wide receiver position. I think he will need a little time to play corner in the NFL and to adjust to the speed of the receivers coming at him and the size of and all of that stuff. I think he'll be better at wide receiver before he gets better at corner, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think he will be more comfortable in some ways at wide receiver. So he is definitely somebody that I pick up. I saw a couple places that we're talking about Quinshon Judkins, who with the Browns, who just got cleared of all his legal issues. I don't know that there's more than 2 players on the Browns that I would draft this year. 3, if you get an individual defensive player, then go get you Miles. But I would take Joe Flacco at some point and David Njoku, and everybody else I might stay away from, because until you see what the Browns are going to do, I think there are other players out there that you'll be better off with. But again, this year's rookie class of running backs is really heavy loaded with talent. And these are guys that are going to they're maybe listed number 2 on the depth chart. They're absolutely going to get their reps, and they're absolutely going to make an impact this year.
So I did put this question out there on our social media. It's like, what rookies are you guys interested in? Because I know that there's a lot of opinions on it out there. And so on Blue Sky, we got a good answer from Gray Heisenberg. He said, I love some rookies. Omarion Hampton, number 1. Definitely had that on there. Honorable mention to, is it Teteora McMillan, though? That's a good one. He is like, and then they were like, oh, dang, Tyler Warren also gets a good mention. So there's a lot of rookies out there to really pay attention to. I'm going to throw one out there to everyone, and it's not because I'm a homer. It's because it's fascinating to watch the development that has happened already, and that is wide receiver Torrey Horton in Seattle. He is quickly becoming a wide receiver, not a special teamer. He's going to be wide receiver 3, 2. he's going to be great. And if JSN should get hurt, his numbers are going to jump. And that is another thing that you can look at with these are what they call handcuffing. So if you have a higher end, let's say you have a Justin Jefferson and you're worried about it, and you get into the lower rounds, look and see who that wide receiver 2 is on the Vikings. In case he gets hurt, you can grab him, and then his numbers will automatically go up if Justin is injured for some reason. So that's really interesting. And yes, Kristen, can I tell you, she said, woo, Torrey Hurt, I am so freaking excited about this kid, and he's an offensive player, and I'm excited about him. It's really good. So Kristen did ask the question, do you take a rookie in the earlier rounds? Yes, depending on where they're at. I will tell you, Austin Genty is going in the first round in a ton of different places, and that has absolutely been the case in the past too. There's some, though, that have been waiting, but some of these rookies, and the best thing you can do is go look at a rookie ranking online, or just go look at, there's a great one out there. I think it's ESPN. It's just the top 300 players. Doesn't matter their position, in order, the way they want to do it. And sometimes people will just draft from those, and those are great. I think those are good. So, all right. So rookies have been really huge. So sleepers is the other one we want to talk about. And this one's going to take a little longer because we're going to get a lot of arguments. I can hear Lisa already. Already I can hear her. So I just want to define what a sleeper is. So a sleeper is a player being overlooked and will outperform his average draft position, ADP, average draft position. So that doesn't mean that they're going to go in the first round or the second round. They're just going to play better than where they're being ranked at. And that doesn't have to be a rookie. It can be, but it can be any player at all. And so some of the really interesting ones that have come out there, we'll start with the quarterbacks. I've been seeing this one a lot, and I'm a little surprised because I don't necessarily agree to be a sleeper and that they'll outperform, is JJ McCarthy. And I think it's just because we haven't heard great things about what he's done in camp. Kate, what do you think? Do you think he'll be all right? I don't know. I just don't trust it.
I think he'll be fine, but to your point, we don't know what he's going to do from a fantasy perspective. So when they look at how they're ranking quarterbacks, and you rank your top 10, 15 quarterbacks, and you're in a 10-team league, you only need 10 quarterbacks. And then people need to get a backup quarterback, either to cover the bye week, or if they're at all concerned that their quarterback's going to get hurt. And so I think we're calling JJ a sleeper because he has the talent to be a first-round quarterback in the future. We're not sure if he's going to be healthy, if he's going to play, how well he's going to play, what the NFL is going to look like to him. He's a very unknown. He's very talented, but he's very unknown. So it seems easy when you predict that he's going to go 8th, 9th round because everyone's going to get their quarterback early, and he's going to be somebody's backup quarterback. So he's going to go late, but he is going to definitely have the ability to score more points than they predict, because they're going to be very conservative on their estimates for what they think he's going to do this year.
Absolutely. A couple other quarterbacks on the list that you see repeatedly, because almost every quarterback's on a list somewhere, but Dak Prescott is one. Okay. And then we have Bryce Young has been missed because he did so poorly before. He could easily do better. So that's a good one. Justin Fields, Michael Penix. Nowhere on here is Justin Herbert, Lisa. Nowhere on there is Justin Herbert. Why? Because we've been waiting forever for Justin Herbert to pop off, and he still hasn't managed to do it. So running backs, a couple of rookies on here. Cam Scatterbo. There's a lot of people who think that he is going to play much better than they think. They also have Trayvon Henderson is listed on there. Jordan Mason. We have Isaiah Pacheco. They think that he'll do more because they believe that the Chiefs are going to run the ball more, which is another conversation we're going to have here in a minute. And then they have Caleb Johnson, Tank Bigsby. So there's a lot on the running backs.
I would throw J.K. Dobbins into that list.
Okay.
What you're going to see with the Broncos this year is 3 or 4 different guys carrying the ball. But when it comes to fantasy football and a goal line stand and you need 1, 2, maybe 3 yards, they're going to go with J.K. Dobbins. He's not going to get a lot of yards. He's going to get a lot of touchdowns, which is points. Yep. So for me, that's a sleeper. I think he would be a great second running back to have on your team because he's going to get I think, the lion's share of the carries when it comes down to touchdowns.
Yeah. Kristen asked in there, is Cam Ward a sleeper? Any other rookie quarterbacks? I think basically all rookie quarterbacks are going to be sleepers just because you don't know where they're going to fit. You don't know how it's going to go. And it's so hard to tell in preseason how they're playing. But Cam Ward has played pretty well. I think more people are interested in Caleb in Chicago has been playing better. So that might be different. He's not a rookie this year. It's his second year, but so we'll see. But yeah, when it comes to the rookie quarterbacks, they're a little hesitant. They usually say that could be a backup if you want to try it. So wide receiver, the names you see a lot, we see Travis Hunter is one of the rookies that's on that list, just because, again, like Kate mentioned, we don't know the split. We don't know how that's going to go. Juwan Jennings, because there's no one else. Sorry, I won't be mean to that team today. Matthew Golden, one of the rookies that I picked up in my draft the other day because I think that he'll play very well. Ricky Pearsall, now that he's healthy, we'll see what happens with him over the year. And again, the wide receiver in San Francisco is real questionable, so we'll see what happens there. And then Marvin Mims Jr. has popped up quite a bit. That's a name you might want to look at to get late in the later rounds. So that one would be good too. And then the tight ends. Is really
let me throw out a wide receiver first.
Oh, okay.
Because you missed one of my favorites. Jaden Higgins in Houston with the Texans. With Stephon Diggs gone and Tank Dell hurt, he is somebody who I think if you look at the rankings now, he's pretty low. But depending on what happens with Tank Dell, he could get the majority of the targets from my boy CJ Stroud with the Texans. Those are things to take into considerations as well. From a sleeper perspective, is who are the guys in front of them? Whoever's behind Christian McCaffrey, to me, is a sleeper. Isaac Guerrero, I think his name is. Yep. Some of these guys that are hurt a lot.
He's also hurt.
Yeah.
San Francisco's a mess, guys.
I know. But I think Jaden Higgins is somebody that I would list as a sleeper for the Texans.
I love that. And that is a really good point. If you have an injury-prone player, might not be a bad idea to pick up whoever's sitting right behind him. Tight ends, Colston Loveland is everywhere on these lists. They expect him just to pop off and to play super well and to be kind of the guy. So that'll be really fun to watch. Then there's names that we know. Tyler Higbee. Okay. Hunter Henry. Not super exciting. Jake Ferguson is on there. Tucker Kraft. I mean, there's Tyler Warren. There's a few other names, but really, I don't know. I always thought that was real questionable. I decided, like I said before, to roll with these rookies because I think that is fun. But definitely, if you can look and find some of that running back 2, wide receiver 2 behind an injury-prone player. So, yeah, that's a good way.
If you believe in Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, then I think you got to look at Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange is the tight end in Jacksonville. He had the second most offensive yards for them last year behind Evan Ingram, who left, which means he is the heir apparent to be catching passes from Trevor Lawrence, and he's getting no love in the tight end rankings. And he is somebody that I would consider a sleeper and that, I might go after, one of the bigger names first, but if I need a backup or if I have a flex position, depending on what the matchup is, Strange is a very nice option from a sleeper perspective at tight end.
Tight end is a great position to have for flex too. They really, really are. So on the opposite side of that, Darcy put this in the comments. Baker Mayfield is really low and can easily outperform where he's ranked on Yahoo. So in Darcy's opinion, he's a sleeper. And everybody else's, he's a bust. I'm telling you, his name is popping up all over bust, which is crazy to me. I think that he has played so well from before. But let me ruffle Lisa's feathers here. The two names you see constantly over and over again in the bust category, and that's someone who's going to underperform where they're drafted at, is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And why is that? Is that Patrick Mahomes doesn't run anymore. Travis Kelce plays in the playoffs, but not any other time, right? And so those are names that we know and that we hear, and you think, oh, they're a good player. Yes, they are. Fantasy-wise, they're not going to get you the points that you need because they're not the workhorse of the team.
So earlier you mentioned Isaiah Pacheco, the running back for Kansas City, is going to have a fabulous year. The more points he gets, the less points Pat Mahomes gets. any of these teams that have what I would consider to be a stud running back, you need to think twice about that quarterback. He does not get points for handing the ball off.
Right.
Unless he's throwing it behind the line of scrimmage to, doing the bubble screens and throwing it to that running back. Any of these teams that have these top 4 or top 5 running backs, those quarterbacks are not going to get their points because they're going to be at running points. They're not going to be in the air points. You almost want to look at quarterbacks for teams with the world's worst defense, because the worse defense you have, the farther behind you are, the more you have to throw the ball in the third and fourth quarter, the more fantasy points you're racking up. I think that was one of the challenges with Baker is they do have a very balanced offense with the Buccaneers, and they have a running game. And so he's not throwing as many turnovers as he used to, but he's also not gunslinging. He's gotten a little smarter in his time there. And so he doesn't have to put up the points that they predicted he would, because they have other ways to score. And so I don't think it's a knock on Baker. I think from a fantasy perspective, if your team's quarterback is somewhere between like 10 and 14, I think that says good things about your team, because your team has other ways to win, and they're not, being carried all over the back of your quarterback.
So some of the other names on here, some are not surprising. And once again, this doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes is not going to get you points. He is. He's going to score points. It's just in comparison to where he's being drafted at. So other quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, they have Bo Nix ranked so high. It's going to be hard for that kid to meet that, I think. They have Jordan Love. Baker Mayfield is on there for quarterbacks. Running backs make a little more sense. They have Saquon Barkley there. Can Saquon repeat what he was doing before? Should you take him? Absolutely, because he's a must-have. But is he going to perform to the level? Maybe not necessarily. James Conner's in there. Christian McCaffrey's in this list every year. He's a great running back when he's on the field. He's just not always on the field. Joe Mixon's another one. Alvin Kamara. Those are names you kind of expect a little bit. Wide receiver, it's a little more varied. This one was interesting. DJ Moore is in that one. Right? Why is DJ Moore in there? Because Loveland, the tight end, is going to end up getting a ton of throws. Then you have Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson. Why is that? They don't necessarily trust Justin Fields to get him the ball. Tyreek Hill, again, Tua, right? Then we have Jerry Jeudy, DK Metcalf, Xavier Worthy, again, more running in Kansas City than throwing. And so I think that there's some interesting things there. When you look at the tight end, it's just mostly the older guys. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, the names that have been around for a while that you know and love, just might not quite get to where they need to be. But once again, Kate, back to your point, this means you take who's behind them, right?
Yeah, the depth chart is your friend. You know what I mean? If somebody in your league gets Jamar Chase, you want to go get T. Higgins, because here's what's going to happen with Jamar. Either he's going to find a way to get his points, or they're going to double team him, and Joe Burrow is going to have to go to T. Higgins and take that backup. So there are a lot of these guys that if they start either struggling, or a CD Lamb, Jamar Chase, people that are going to draw, now that we know their names, they're going to draw attention for the defense. The quarterback's got to have a second weapon. Is it a running game? So are they doing the RPO? And if I can't get to Jamar, I'm handing off to my running back? Or is there another receiver who's going to get those yards? Those are the things that you need to look at. And I feel like it's a simple thing to say. Everybody's going to do that. They're all going to do. You know what? People don't. And you get to the 5th round and people are just, they're dialing it in. Half the people in your draft will go to auto pick. They'll pick the first 3 rounds, and then they'll set it to auto pick, and they'll go out to dinner and they'll just look and see what their team looks like the next day. It's the people who pay attention when you get to round 5 and 6 that can pick up the guy. You can get the backup for your quarterback. You can get the backup for your running back. You can get another wide receiver. Yep. I don't like too many guys from one team on my team, as just because if the team has an off year, if things don't go well. Last year, we thought my Browns were going to do a lot better than 3 wins. They did not. One of my fantasy teams was loaded with Browns players. Shame on me. But I will say I don't care about bye weeks. I will lose 1 week if it means I can have Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley as my starters at quarterback and running back. I'm going to get enough points for them that if I have to have, to no-name people starting during my bye week, don't care. They will get me enough wins. You have to be careful. Don't go crazy worrying about the bye weeks. Just take your wins with every other week with some of those key players. But if you have more than 3 people on your team that are on the same NFL team, that's a little gutsy.
Yep.
It's a little gutsy. Two's good. 3's kind of pushing the envelope.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope we helped you guys with your fantasy football stuff. I hope that this was somewhat helpful and know what to do. So once again, just a reminder, DM us on social media if you want to join our free fantasy football league. We have 2 spots left. It is free, but you win prizes. It's super, super fun. So I really, really hope that you guys will do that because it's actually a really good time. We want to thank everyone who joined us in the chat. If you are watching over on Facebook or over on Twitter, come over to the YouTube channel during the live show. You can join the chat. We'll answer your questions. We love the back and forth. We have a great group of people that are here every week and I appreciate it so very, very much. And so, wait, Kristen just threw in one last question. I'm going to do it just because we're not that far over. How does the draft work? So that depends on the app that you use. They're all very similar. Traditionally, 30 minutes before your draft is supposed to start, the draft room will open and you'll be able to go in and see the order. So you'll know where you draft at. When the draft starts, Kristen, it will go through and people have a dedicated amount of time. Your commissioner decides that on how much time you have to pick and it goes through the person. And then when it's your turn, it usually lights up bright green. So you know it's your turn to pick. You'll see down below the list of players and you can hit draft. It's actually, you can go on the apps and do mock drafts if that will make you feel better. So you can kind of play around with it and see how that goes. So Kristen is our newbie. We are dedicated to the newbies here because all of us started at some point and we really want to make sure that people, who want to learn how to do this and want to do it for fun can. So please, once again, as Kate told you, any questions, send us a message.
Maybe we should do one fantasy question like on each Tuesday for the podcast during the shows. Right. Just say, hey, send us your fantasy football questions. We'll pick one. Some of them we'll just answer on either Blue Sky or X or wherever you are. And we'll pick one that we'll talk about on the show each week. And we'll give you all of our opinions they're free. So that's what they're worth. But maybe we can help with some of that during the season. Right.
Kristen just said, is there one app better than the other? I think the Our Turf League uses the NFL app. Is that what you guys are using? I'm pretty sure. And so you'll use the NFL draft app for ours. Lots of people love Sleeper. I can't stand Sleeper. No offense, Sleeper. If you want to sponsor us, please do, and I will love your app. But there's a couple that are better. I know lots of people don't like the ESPN app. I really enjoy the NFL app. Do you see? I think
like the ESPN app. It depends on what you liked. CBS and Yahoo, their apps are pretty vanilla. They're very easy. I do like the NFL.com app that we use, but like you said, they're all very similar. And what you can do is you can download any of those apps. And to Dana's point, you can do a mock draft. You can do a just for fun to see how the draft works. You get like 2 minutes and you just do it real quick. And then when it's over, it just tells you how you did. It gives you like a computer AI generated score. Did you get an A or a B or a C? And then it tells you you're a little heavy on these players and a little light on this or whatever. And you can do as many of those as you want. I would recommend if you're in a league, find out what app they use and use that to do your mock drafts because each of the drafts is a little different. But they all have absolutely free mock drafts that you can do just so that if this is your first time drafting, you don't get into the draft room and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what button to push. If you don't pick a player and time expires, it just gives you the best player on the board, which, sometimes isn't really a bad thing. But if you really, really wanted Jamar Chase and they have CD Lamb ranked higher you get CDs. So I would highly recommend doing a couple mocks just for fun. It takes maybe 15 minutes because they go like this because people are just testing out the software and trying it out. They're not making these earth-shattering decisions like they do during a real draft. So they do go really quickly, but they're helpful.
So I love the little Lisa in chat is desperately trying to get Kristen to take Mahomes first. Mahomes didn't go in this last draft until the 6th round. in my last draft. I'm just saying, there are 4 quarterbacks taken before him. But anyway, and they were, you have Allen, you have Burrows, you have, all the runners. Big Red put in here, do we pick a defense as a whole or individual players? Depends on your league. A lot of plays have both. They have a defense and an IDP, individual defensive player, or just one or the other. So it just kind of depends there.
And defense is defense and special teams.
Yeah.
So
except
even though it says defense, it is defense and special teams. Every league I've ever been in has a defense and a special teams. So if you take the Bears, you get their defense. You also get their field goal unit. You get their punt returns. If they block a field goal, that's special teams. If they return a punt for a touchdown, that's special teams. That's defense and special teams.
Yeah,
those are separate, but everybody has like a defense special teams category. I don't necessarily need an individual player.
I love it.
I got to work, but I know Dana loves it. We have them in our league. Gotten me familiar with people besides people who aren't named Myles Garrett. I learned all about Bobby Wagner because he was my IDP. So I mean, it's nice if you're not from. It's a lot if it's your first year of doing fantasy. It's one more position to look at, but it's also a way to learn about those positions, those defensive positions, and how they earn points with tackles and sacks and all of that kind of stuff. It is kind of cool.
All right, one last question before we end the show tonight. Big Red wants to talk about Spencer Rattler. As we know, Spencer Rattler. Okay, do we see Spencer starting at any point, dude? I think he's going to start. I don't know how long he'll start, but I think he's going to start. So in this room with Big Red, we cheer for Spencer Rattler. Yes, we do.
We do. And I'm willing to bet in any fantasy league that you're in, he's going to be available at the end of the day. He's the kind of player I take in like the second to last or last round. Like he's my Brock Purdy. I'll take him near the end. I don't mind if he sits on my bench and I think something's going to happen and he's going to start and I've already got him. So I don't have to go pick him up. I don't have to fight other people to get him. He's not just because of Big Red. Watching the way he played the other day, he's somebody that I would grab late just to have him.
Just hold on to him. Hide him on your bench. That's for sure. Yeah. All right, everyone. That is it for us this week. We will be back. Let's see. Yes. Next week. Ladies and gents, next week is our Pick'em show. We normally do it the Tuesday before the season starts. However, that week we have decided to take off because we're going to be doing
Labor Day
live tweeting that whole weekend with the Star and all the stuff. Plus, it's Labor Day. But so next week, our Pick'em show, you will have all 4 of us. We are going to have how we think teams are going to fall in the division. We're going to tell you who's going to the wild card spots in the playoffs. We might even tell you who we think is going to the Super Bowl. Complete and total overreactions is what's going to happen. So we really hope that you guys join us. It's usually a longer show because we argue and fight about it a lot. So I can't wait for you guys all to join us for our Pick'em show next week. So we hope you'll see us there. And same time, same place, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.